Hi, and welcome to the Copycat Stitch. I have another thrift haul for you today. Now I'm kind of been putting off filming this one because I felt like I didn't have enough of a haul. It was a small collection, which there's nothing wrong with, but does it warrant making a video? I don't know. But I definitely have enough now because I went on a little expedition today and I have plenty to show you. But it seems like I had a good amount before that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll get into it. So this is actually my full haul for June and July. It's the end of July now. It's not quite over, but we'll just say this is a 2-month chunk. I do think I'm going to make this series more regularly now. I had a pretty good reception to the last one and I enjoy it. I go thrifting all the time and it's fun to sit down and go through and see all of my crafty finds all together. It is super hot in here today. It's a pretty hot day. I think, let me see, 87 degrees Fahrenheit. Obviously, if it was 87 degrees Celsius, I'd be dead. Anyway, it's a hot day outside and this room tends to get quite hot. So I might try to keep it a little short. I have been thrifting a little slower than I was in the last one because I kind of don't have the car at my disposal as much as I did before. Now, Josh and I share a car. Most of the time I don't use it. He drives it to work and he drops me at work and then drives to work and then I take the bus home. Now, when Josh was injured earlier this year, I had free reign of the car for several months. So all that thrift haul you saw in May was still when I had free reign of the car and I was driving the car to work every day. And I kind of had the ability to just like stop at an estate sale. Like sometimes I would see one listed online and go look at an estate sale on my lunch break or stop at a thrift store on the way home from work. And I don't really have that anymore. There are not that many thrift antique stores within walking distance of work. And I kind of have to get home pretty quick after work to my dogs anyway. So I don't have as much capacity to go thrifting now. If I do, it's mostly on the weekends or if we have some weeknight errand that we have to run anyway, and I can kind of shoehorn it in with that. That's why, even though this is a relatively small one, this is 2 months worth of finds. Okay, so let me think back on these. There's not a ton here. This is actually pretty manageable. So let me start, I guess. I do remember I went to a neighborhood garage sale. This was almost 2 months ago now, so I'm really thinking back. But it was a sort of, you know, a bunch of houses in the same neighborhood have one. And there's also a church nearby that does a sort of marketplace style garage sale in their parking lot on the same day because they know that's going to draw a bigger crowd because everybody's coming for the neighborhood one. And I was at that. So this was at one of the booths in the church parking lot and I got a big stack of magazines. Now this is about half of the size. The stack used to be a bit bigger. I paid $1 for the whole stack. Now, I did that because when I walked up and saw it, I saw some crochet magazines on top. This one wasn't on top, but there's a bunch of crochet magazines here. And I thought, you know what, honestly, $1 is worth taking this whole stack, even though I don't want the whole thing, just to get some crochet books, right? I do like flipping through them. I do like magazines. When I got home and started to flip through it, a lot of them were not even crafting, but it worked out okay because I ended up listing a handful of them on eBay and I already sold one for like $8, so it more than made up for the whole stack. So okay, I paid $1. I have The Best of Molly Makes, Volume 1. So this was originally printed, I don't know. It doesn't have a date because it's a special edition. Molly Makes. Crochet Now. From, do they not put dates on magazines anymore? Okay, this is 103. This came with it. Care Bears patterns included. A lot of these magazines were the sort that come in a plastic sleeve with little gifts included, and there's always like some plastic crochet hooks, or some of these are quilting magazines, and they have like the quilt, what do they call it? Those like acrylic quilt templates, I guess. Crochet toy box from Let's Make. Simply Crochet. Issue 144. So, and I believe most of these are UK crochet magazines, so I'll have to keep that in mind because the terminology might not be the same as what I expect. Simply Crochet Edits. So another little booklet that came with a larger magazine. Simply Crochet issue 143. And it came with, we love color work. Look at it, color. Like King's English. All right, there's an embroidery one in there. How fun is that? I keep saying I'm going to get into embroidery. And honestly, look at one of them. Do you see this? Is that not perfect? I love it. Will I make a whole throw blanket? Probably not, but it's kind of cool that I have the template for a little strawberry pattern now. See, this one did come with a gift with purchase. Or a gift with magazine. I don't know what it's called. Rainbow threads. See, I've got a bunch of stuff like that. So most of these I did already cut them open to get rid of the plastic and take those little gifts out. Cross stitching. I have a bunch of cross stitching books already from my grandmother. I don't know how interested I am in that, but you know, I'm more of a collector than anything at this point. And then there was a few quilting magazines. Today's Quilter. Issues. 97. This one's covered by a sticker, so I don't know. And 102. Really cute. Quilting is one of my lofty ideal crafts that someday I might get into. These do include those sort of acrylic templates as a gift with purchase. I do remember that one of these, it might have been this one, but I don't remember. There was 3 of the same magazine in this stack, like 3 identical ones of the same issue. So 2 of those are the ones that I listed on eBay, and no big deal. I already have an eBay shop. I already kind of sell stuff off. So it made it worth it for me. I mean, like $1 for the whole stack. I think it was definitely worth it if I ever use any of these patterns. Like it'll work out. But not that I'm going to use the embroidery or the quilting magazines for a long time, but it's on my mind. It's something I might do at some point. All right. So I have a couple pretty simple thrift store finds. This one, cute. This was, well, I'll be honest. It got a 99-cent tag on it. I realized when I got home, it's just a, you know, quilter's cotton. I don't know how much is in here. It's sizable. It's dense in the middle. Maybe half a yard. I noticed when I got home, the cashier failed to charge me for this. So technically this one was free. Yeah, just a little nugget to add to my fabric stash. Also thrifting, I found 2 skeins of this. Now, I am at the point in my yarn collecting and use journey where I really don't acquire as many acrylic yarns anymore. I don't have a problem with acrylic. I've actually been using it a lot lately, which you'll see in the next podcast. But when I'm purchasing secondhand yarn, which most of the yarn I purchase is secondhand, I am looking for natural fibers. So these are clearly vintage based on the label. They're from Lady Almy Yarns. I've never heard of that company. Maybe it's no longer in existence. But they had 2 skeins. This is wool. It is 100% virgin wool. This color is beech leaf. They have conflicting price tags. Like these 2 price tags say $1.99, but this one says 99 cents. And I kind of did that little trick when I put them on the counter where I put them so the cashier could only see this one, and they charged me 99 cents for each of them. So it's not my fault. Somebody misstickered this and they should honor that anyway. But yeah, pretty cute. And a decent quantity. I mean, it's worsted weight. So what, it's gotta be like 200 or 300 yards in here. Does it say? Nope. No yardage information that I can find. I just love to acquire wool to have it for when I need it. All right, one more thrift store find, which I know I said I'm not interested in this and I'll never be interested in this, but like maybe that's not true because once I was presented with the opportunity to thrift it, I was like, I shouldn't let this pass me by, right? I've said I'm not interested in spinning. I said I don't want to get into spinning. That's not the type of thing that I'm curious about. And on the whole, I'm not. I have a list, and I've considered making a video about like other crafts that I'd like to try, or like my short list of crafts that I would like to try, and spinning's not really on it. I am always very intrigued by drop spindles because the spindles themselves are so pretty, but I've never considered purchasing because I don't know. It just seems like another hobby that I don't have time for, considering like I truly enjoy knitting and crochet, and I tend to prefer to spend my time doing those things anyway. So I'm not really looking for a new hobby. But when I found a drop spindle and a bunch of fiber, we'll crack this open in a minute, and like this manual for how to do it. This was at the thrift store for $6.31. So that's way cheaper than I'd normally expect to pay for a starter kit for something like this, especially if this is real, like natural fiber, which I think it is. Oh my gosh, it is. It's all merino. Okay, let's get into this. Oh, this is nightmare ASMR. I don't know how to pronounce this company. Is it Disha? Dicha? It's got this little starter guide. This will be helpful. Cute. The spindle itself, along with somebody's little starter there. It's got this little camel-shaped gauge guide with the widths of what you spin, I suppose, so that you can determine how thick the plies are, I guess. I don't know anything about spinning. I have really never considered it, but this is cool. And then a bunch of merino. So it looks like this is the one they got into. They all have these little tags on them. They're like little wooden laser cut tags that say 100% merino, top roving, and it's got some more statistics on there or something that I don't understand, but this is so cute. Like, I feel like it's such a good deal, right, for a starter kit. I guess if I don't like it, I can pass it on, but I really wanted the opportunity to try. So these are all the colors that came in it. And they've even thrown some like silica gel packs in here to keep it all nice and dry. There we go. A craft I didn't plan on and probably don't need, but what a cool opportunity. So I had to do it. I also have like a really cool story. So I don't have some like big bombastic thrift find like last time, like my knitting needle set that was $1 or anything like that. But I did go to an estate sale and I ended up getting like a really good deal there, and I didn't realize it at the time. Now, this estate sale was pretty slim pickings. I looked around, didn't find much. I literally only had a houseplant that I had picked out that they gave me a decent deal on. And as I was on my way out with my houseplant, I noticed the garage, which is where the cashier for the estate sale was, had a bunch of these. Like, are they still called bolts when they're on a roll like this? I don't know. This format of fabric, leaning in the corner. And they didn't have prices on anything. But at the time I was kind of still redecorating my dining room, and I was thinking I could make curtains for my dining room. I want some for in there, but it's an odd height of window because they're tall windows, but they're above a window seat, so they're kind of cut short, and all the curtains we have already don't fit there. I had been thinking I want to make myself some cool curtains for that space anyway. So I picked out a couple bolts of fabric there. This one is just a sort of sage velvet, and I haven't dug into this one yet at all. But the other one was a really pretty print, and I have this scrap of it left because I did use this to make the curtains for my dining room. So I'll take some footage so you can see how the curtains in my dining room came out. This is all I have left. This is the full piece. I more or less used the width of the fabric as it was and then just chose appropriate hem lengths on the top and bottom, so I barely cut it. I literally just cut it into the 3 pieces, the 2 panels that ended up being curtain panels, and then this offcut. Now, as I was doing so, I noticed that it's got the branding on the selvage. And I had never heard of this brand, called Gaston y Daniela. Sounds kind of cool, right? It does have the year here. It has the Roman numerals. I believe that's 1997. And it has the name of the print, which is Mandira. So it's just really cool. It's not green. It's very vegetal, but it's not green, right? It's all these blues and yellows and browns. I just thought it was really neat. This is kind of the color scheme I was going for in there anyway. And it's really unusual with all these odd like fruits. I guess, oh, I'm holding it up sideways so you kind of can't see it. Anyway, it's got these big, like they sort of look like pomegranates and then they sort of look like watermelons, but they're blue. Like, I have a feeling this is the sort of fabric that was designed in one color, and then they kind of ran it in several colorways, so that's why there's like blue and yellow fruit. Anyway, I thought it was really cool. So for each of these 2 bolts of fabric, I paid $5 a piece. This one, I think ultimately when I unrolled it, had about 5 1/4 or 5.5 yards on it, which was great because, like I said, it ended up being nearly the exact size I needed to make my curtain panels. I'm very pleased with how the curtains came out. I have not unrolled this velvet one to know how much is on there. But out of curiosity, I went online and tried to look up this fabric. Now I couldn't find this exact fabric. It does say it's from 1997, so I guess technically it's vintage. I couldn't find anybody selling this exact print online, but Gastoni Daniela is still a brand. And I was looking on websites that sell their fabrics, and it tends to be, as far as I can tell, I mean, you could buy it online. Anybody can buy it online, but I believe it's marketed towards like interior decorators or professional decorators. So they were really expensive. And I kind of was trying to look at comparable ones, and I'll put some on the screen here for you to see. Again, I couldn't find this exact print, but these comparable floral or like botanical print fabrics from this same brand are now going for $100, $200+ a yard. And again, I paid $5 for like 5.5 yards. So that was like a really cool discovery when I looked it up and realized how much this fabric is worth. They had like 4 or 5 other bolts of fabric there that I didn't consider because I was just buying it to use it. So now I kind of wish I had looked a little more closely at those because they probably could have been some cooler, unique fabrics. But once I found one that I liked for my curtains, I kind of stopped looking. So I also think I might use this velvet for curtains or something someday. I'm not likely to use this. And it's got to be at least partially synthetic velvet. I don't know. But yeah, what a good deal, right? Okay. Then more recently, I went garage sailing with my mom a couple weeks ago. I found very little in the way of fiber crafts, but I did get this really cool, like needlepoint piece. I don't know, it might technically be crewel. I think so because it's quite thick yarn or thread, I guess. But I think it's so pretty. I love the cats in a library vibe. The Tiffany lamp is great. It's so me. I love it so much. And it was, in fact, $3. Yeah, just a pretty one. I almost didn't even see it. I bought some stuff at the garage sale and started walking away and spotted it on my way out, and I had to go back over and add it. It's just so cute. One more thing, but it's more than one thing. This is my Facebook Marketplace find for today. It's not trash, I promise. So this morning on Facebook Marketplace, I browse virtually every day because I'm addicted to secondhand. And I noticed somebody had listed basically a sweater quantity, 6 1/2 skeins of Alafloss Lopi, which is Icelandic. It's like a bulky weight Icelandic virgin wool. Very, very woolly wool, very thick. But something that I've heard of and never used because it's really expensive to, import Icelandic mountain wool. So I think this is an older packaging. So this has been around for a bit. So it was listed for 6 1/2 skeins for $40, which is maybe a little steep, but I've paid that much for thrifted yarns before and I thought it was a good deal. I really like this sort of warm grayish color and it would make a really, really good winter cardigan or something like that. So we drove all the way up. My husband drove me there, which was great because then I could knit in the car. And it was about a half-hour's drive. And we got there and the lady's so sweet. And she's like, actually, I'm cleaning out my yarn stash because I don't knit anymore. Do you want to have a look at what I have? And I was like, are you kidding? Stop. So I went in and she had a bunch spread out. And she's like, this isn't even half of it, but this is just all I've found so far. And this is what I have today. So I looked through and I, first of all, exercised so much restraint because she had a lot out and she had a lot of partials. And even though they were all really nice wools, and a lot of them were gray, and I'm trying to get away from gray. I really have enough gray clothes. I'm a millennial trying to shake the stereotype. And I mean, this is more tan. I don't know how it's showing up on camera. It really is like a warm beige gray. It's very warm in my opinion, almost a tan. Several quantities she had were gray. She had like, I don't know, 5 or 6 garment quantities. I will say almost all of what she had was this style or weight or composition. So it was largely like bulky. Maybe the lightest weight I saw she had was Aran, but like Erin or bulky wool, woolly wool. And which I'm interested in, but I'm not necessarily interested in buying like all of. So I kind of looked through what she had, and I offered her $80 for the lot, and she took the offer. So I have my 6 skeins of Lopi. Beautiful. Can't wait to try that. There was also light Lopi. This is from Reynolds. So it's not the same manufacturer, but it's also an Icelandic wool. It still says 100% virgin wool. Virgin wool. It doesn't say much more than that. So this one had 2 colors. So most of them were this. So it looks like I have 5 balls of this. Like, again, it's a warm grayish. This one's even warmer than the first one. It's a light brown, basically. And then it included 2 balls of this slightly darker brown. So maybe a nice little contrast, like cuff and collar. I don't know. I haven't really thought about what I'm going to do with them. I literally only went to pick these up a few hours ago, but a great deal. And then everything else I got was actually UFOs. Or one of them, I think she said, was a finished sweater that she had started frogging and never finished. So, oh my gosh. This one, I don't know what part of the sweater this was. So this is a very pretty rich brown, and it's got the off-white. Oh, maybe this was like a collar or something? I have no idea. I don't know how this all fit together, but she had already started frogging. It looks like there's a hole in it. So like, I can see why, but I just liked the idea. I feel like I was like, I could frog that. I could finish that. I could, and it's entirely wool, right? So I can splice them back together. It's not a big deal. She had these included with that project. So this was a ball she had already, oh no, this is the other project, excuse me. This is what she had already frogged from that. And then this next project, I don't think these were actually part of it. She included these with it, but these are totally black. Now, again, it's the same thing. They're a sort of roving style wool, Erin to bulky weight, heavy yarn. And they've been frogged out of something. And I don't think it was this because it doesn't match any of the other colors in this project, but she threw those in. So this is the part that's already been frogged from this next one, which is in several pieces. It's still got needles on it. It's still got a bunch of stitch holders on it. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Now I don't know what size she would have been making. This looks really narrow for me. The woman that I was, dealing with here, who was getting rid of all this yarn, was a significantly smaller size than me. So I would imagine I couldn't finish and use anything that's already in progress. My intention is to frog it, but okay, there's a full skein, this partially frogged skein, and then all of these pieces. So my intention is to harvest all this wool. This is such a large quantity, and it's such an uncomfortable texture to be handling in this heat. I'm not going to lie, but I'm very excited for what I found. She also threw in the pattern book that came with the Lopi, and it's like pretty extensive. It's got the full color pictures. I wonder when it was bought. I do have a hunch she bought most of these in like the 80s or 90s because they're all older branding on them and marketing, and this book is definitely from about that time, but really cool. I think it's a really good deal. Definitely the most I've spent in one of these videos in a while, but to me, $80 is worth it for what is effectively 4 garment quantities of Icelandic wool. Because I only buy secondhand, I shouldn't say that. I don't only buy secondhand, but I mostly buy secondhand, and I intend to mostly buy secondhand. I don't often get a chance to get like a quantity like this. Printed, this is a sort of history of the Lopi yarn, and the latest date I see in the history is 1982. So this was printed at some point in the late 80s or early 90s. Cool, right? I think it's cool. All right, that's my haul. Like I said, smaller than last time, but the goal is not to consume as much as possible. The goal is to pick and choose the best deals and the best opportunities, and that's what I've done. Thank you for joining me for what turned out to be an especially woolly episode in the middle of this stifling July heat. Kind of a weird theme for the time of year, but thrifting does not abide by the seasons, right? It doesn't have to be seasonally appropriate. It's about finding like good deals when they come along and anticipating what your needs will be in the future, because we're talking about underconsumption and longevity, right? We're planning ahead, and I think that's what this is all about. So I'm glad that you could join me today. Please like the video if you liked the video. And I think I'm going to continue this series and maybe step it up a little. So subscribe if you haven't already, because I've got plans. I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Bye.